The house at Blackwood's edge, the old mansion at the edge of Blackwood, had always been a source of intrigue for the people of the small town. It stood as a lone sentinel against time, its ivy-clad walls and rusted iron gates whispering tales of mystery and dread. Despite its ominous appearance, the Hawthorne family had lived there peacefully for years. At least, that's what the townspeople believed. Among the Hawthornes was Emily, their only daughter. From the moment she was born, there was something peculiar about her. She would often speak of unseen friends and shadows that danced in the moonlight. Though her parents dismissed it as a child's imagination, the townspeople whispered otherwise. Years passed, and Emily grew into a quiet, contemplative girl who rarely left the house. She was a mystery, much like the mansion she called home. Then, one fateful night, she vanished without a trace. The vanishing, her disappearance shook the town. Search parties were organized, and the Hawthornes pleaded for answers, but Emily was gone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and eventually, the search was abandoned. The town moved on, and so did life, until one eerie evening, Emily returned. The first person to see her was Mr. Lawson, the town's grocer. He spotted her walking barefoot down the empty streets, her white dress fluttering in the cold wind. "Emily?" he called hesitantly. She turned to him and smiled, a cold, haunting smile. The next morning, Mr. Lawson was found dead in his store, his body twisted unnaturally, his face frozen in an expression of pure terror. The deaths begin. His death marked the beginning. One by one, the people of Blackwood began dying under strange circumstances. Some were found with their throats slit, others drowned in their own bathtubs. The town was plunged into a state of fear, with whispered rumors spreading like wildfire. Some claimed it was the work of a vengeful spirit, while others believed something far worse lurked within their midst. Emily's return. Amidst the chaos, Emily continued to wander through town, her pale skin untouched by the chill of the wind, her eyes holding a darkness unfathomable. No one dared confront her, except for Daniel Whitmore, the local historian. He had spent years researching the legends surrounding the Hawthorne mansion, and was convinced that Emily's return was not what it seemed. Determined to uncover the truth, Daniel broke into the Hawthorne mansion one stormy night. As he wandered through the dust-laden corridors, he stumbled upon a locked room, Emily's room. Breaking it open, he was met with the most chilling sight, a preserved diary, its pages yellowed with age. As he flipped through the entries, his blood ran cold. Emily had died 10 years ago. Unraveling the mystery, her last entry read, "They whisper my name. They call for me from beyond the veil. If I answer, I fear I will never return." The realization struck him like lightning. Emily was a ghost. But if she had been dead all along, what had returned? With growing dread, Daniel searched further and found a hidden trapdoor leading to an underground chamber. Inside, he discovered the decayed remains of Emily, her bones shackled in rusted chains. Someone had kept her prisoner in her own home. At that moment, the temperature in the room plummeted. A chilling voice whispered from behind, "You shouldn't have come here." The confrontation, Daniel turned to see Emily, or what was left of her. Her once beautiful face was twisted in rage, her hollow eyes glowing with an eerie light. She raised a hand, and the shadows lunged toward him. But Daniel was prepared. Holding up a silver locket, a keepsake from Emily's childhood, he whispered her name. A flicker of recognition crossed her ghostly face. For a moment, the darkness within her wavered. "Emily, it's time to let go." Tears welled in her spectral eyes as memories of her past flooded back. She had been betrayed, murdered by those closest to her, and left to suffer in silence. Now, with the truth revealed, she could finally find peace. A haunting wail echoed through the mansion as Emily's spirit slowly faded into the night, taking the curse with her. The murders stopped, and the town breathed a sigh of relief. But the Hawthorne mansion remained, its walls forever whispering the tale of the girl who was forgotten, yet never truly gone. The truth behind the haunting. As Daniel dug deeper, he uncovered shocking secrets about the Hawthorne family. Emily's parents had not simply vanished after her disappearance. They had met a gruesome fate themselves. Their remains were found in the mansion's cellar, bound and mutilated. They had tried to keep their daughter's ghost at bay, but failed. The townspeople had always suspected something dark lurked within the mansion, but no one dared to uncover the truth. Now Daniel had unearthed secrets that had been buried for over a decade. But with the truth came a curse, one that was now tied. In the quiet town of Ravenshade, where the mist clung to the cobbled streets like a ghostly shroud, stood the infamous Blackwood Manor. It had been home to the Sinclair family for generations, and within its towering walls lived Evelyn Sinclair, a bright-eyed girl with raven-black hair and a heart full of dreams. She had lived there with her parents since childhood, growing up in the shadows of its haunting past. Despite the manor's eerie history, Evelyn had always felt a strange sense of belonging. Whispers of long-lost souls, rumors of eerie apparitions, and strange occurrences in the dead of night failed to shake her. She was comfortable in Blackwood Manor, until the day she disappeared. One autumn evening, as the wind howled through the gnarled branches of the oak trees that surrounded the manor, Evelyn vanished without a trace. The entire town searched for her, their voices calling out into the endless night, but she was nowhere to be found. Weeks turned into months, and eventually, people assumed the worst. Her parents mourned her as if she had passed, though no body was ever found. Then, a year later, Evelyn returned. She appeared at the doorstep of Blackwood Manor, just as suddenly as she had disappeared, her eyes distant and hollow, her skin cold to the touch. Her parents, both bewildered and overjoyed, embraced her without question. They never asked where she had been, as if afraid the truth would break the fragile happiness of her return. But something was different about Evelyn. She no longer laughed the way she used to. Her voice carried a strange echo, and shadows seemed to cling to her even under the brightest sunlight. She spoke little, often staring at the townspeople with an unsettling intensity. Then, the murders began. One by one, the residents of Ravenshade were found dead in the most horrific ways. The butcher, Thomas Grayson, was the first. His body was discovered hanging in his shop, his mouth twisted in a silent scream. Next was Mrs. Holloway, the town's schoolteacher, her face frozen in an expression of pure terror, her body drained of blood. Fear gripped Ravenshade as the deaths continued, each more gruesome than the last. As panic spread, whispers began to circulate. Some claimed to see Evelyn wandering the streets at odd hours, her feet never making a sound. Others swore they heard her voice in their dreams, calling them to the manor. The town's priest, Father Callahan, declared that a dark force had taken root in Blackwood Manor, urging the people to seek refuge in prayer. It was Evelyn's childhood friend, Lucas Hawthorne, who finally confronted the truth. Determined to understand what was happening, he followed Evelyn one evening, watching as she drifted through the graveyard behind the manor. What he saw made his blood run cold. Evelyn stood before a crumbling gravestone, her body flickering like a dying candle flame. As the moonlight bathed the stone in silver, Lucas read the name carved into its surface: Evelyn Sinclair. The date of death was the same day she had disappeared. Lucas stumbled backward, horror gripping his heart. Evelyn was dead. She had never truly returned, only her spirit had. And now, something dark had taken hold of her soul, twisting her into an avenger of some unknown wrong. Driven by fear and determination, Lucas sought out Father Callahan, revealing what he had discovered. The priest, though pale and shaken, nodded grimly. "The spirit must be laid to rest," Father Callahan murmured. "But if she lingers, it means she has unfinished business." Together, they delved into the history of Blackwood Manor and unearthed a chilling secret. Evelyn had not simply vanished that fateful night, she had been murdered. Her own parents, consumed by greed, had sacrificed her in a ritual, hoping to awaken an ancient power rumored to slumber beneath the manor. But the ritual had failed, leaving her spirit trapped between worlds, seeking vengeance upon the town that had turned a blind eye. Armed with this knowledge, Lucas and Father Callahan confronted Evelyn in the heart of Blackwood Manor. She stood before them, her face a mask of sorrow and rage. "You let them kill me," she whispered, her voice carrying on the wind like a lament. "You all let it happen." Lucas stepped forward, his voice trembling but resolute. "Evelyn, we didn't know, but we can make it right. We can set you free." Tears shimmered in her spectral eyes, and for the first time since her return, she seemed truly human again. With a solemn nod, she allowed Father Callahan to perform the rite of exorcism. As the final words were spoken, Evelyn let out a breathless sigh, her form dissolving into the morning light. The murders ceased, and peace returned to Ravenshade. Blackwood Manor, however, remained untouched, a grim reminder of the horror that once plagued the town. No one dared step inside again. But on quiet nights, when the wind whispered through the trees, some swore they could still